Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Chatting Shit about the Nemesis Cup. I'm joined by some of my Yorkshire Tryhard teammates, Holmsy, David Velociraptor and Aaron Aerobubble. How is everyone? All good?
Yeah, all good.
Good, thanks mate. Thanks for having us.
Looking forward to starting the new cup. Sort of 2 days left in the Obsidian now, so I'm sick of it. But
I thought it was going to be the best month ever.
Well, it's always going to be the best month ever, right? That's,
I mean, it can't be any worse than this month.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on too, mate. I started well, got a couple of 5-2s early on, and then just flopped massively.
I went for a period of 19 games where I won 5 of the 19. It was. I've gone negative this month. First, I don't think I've ever dropped below 60% in Silph, but I got negative this one, so bad, really bad one for me.
I think I'm pretty close to 50-50. I need to count it up, but I went 1 and 5 in gym, which was really fun.
Yeah,
just
rough.
Not my month.
Rough. But you're up first tonight, Aaron. So if you we'll get your pick out of the way. It's a good one, right? It's a good one.
Yeah. So I went with Walrein, which is Pokédex number 365, I think. But yeah, it's got the most broken move in the game at the minute, which is Icicle Spear. I expect it to be nerfed sometime soon. PvPoke recommends the non-shadow, I'm guessing for the bulk, as the higher ranked mon. But I think the shadow will be on a lot of teams if they run it, because people like to use the shadows, more spam, more damage. You pick up some ridiculous matchups. But the reason I've picked it is because every team has to have essentially a flyer this month. I mean, there's the anti-fighters, but it's like mainly flyers, right? I mean, you've got Dedenne in there. You can beat that. It's bait dependent, which is just ridiculous, right? An electric type losing to a water type is not on. But yeah, I think you pick up a few other things that really interested me. Like, I think Blaziken can be close because of the earthquake, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, you need a few powers there. You need a few powers there.
Yeah, which isn't difficult to get.
No.
Not at all, especially like if you farm something down here. But yeah, you also can pick up, I think you can pick up Galv with a couple Powder Snows. But then you're also looking at like you absolutely destroying Noctowl. Even like I'm pretty sure you can come out with a lot of farm versus Noctowl just because of your pure bulk. You've also got like you've got what you expect it to be, the flyers, the Dragon Breath users. But then you're also going to pick up one of the other picks I think we're probably going to mention tonight, which is the H-Electrode. That can't even get close. You absolutely annihilate it. And it's probably going to be the most popular electric and grass this month. I'm not thinking we're going to see much else from the grasses. Maybe Ferrothorn, maybe Roserade.
But it's nice, like against all the electrics, it's pretty much like none of the electrics are hitting Walrein faster than Walrein's hitting the electrics back.
Yeah.
And given that none of the electrics are bulky, right? That's an issue.
That is a huge issue, because then you're looking at the fighters as its only counter, and every team is going to be stacked against them. I mean, if you run like a fighter that beats most of the others in that, like Poliwrath, because I'm assuming that'll be, barring taking a power-up punch bait from Lucario, you're probably winning that. With Scold or Dynamic Punch, you'll be beating Blaziken. I don't see much else coming out of the fighter category that's going to challenge that. So that as a pairing, plus they're going to want to bring their electric, and if their electric can't beat Walrein, and you swap it in, draw out the electric, beat the electric, then Poliwrath could just sweep in the back.
What do you guys reckon?
I don't think that there's not. I mean, as a switch here, it does look pretty busted. To be honest, there's hardly anything that wants to take it on or switch into it. Like you say, even Poliwrath, like you I don't know. You still need to. Yeah, it's not as if it's like it completely batters it on the switch. Like it's
You need 2 dynamic
still-
punches, right?
Yeah, you need 2 dynamic punches. Yeah.
And if
so
they're
you can-
running the shadow, which is softer, Earthquake is probably going to take a big chunk out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're left with like Obstagoon, which
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a. I don't think it's going to be a top pick from the fighters, and then like Lucario, which I don't know. Lucario could be turn out to be a good pick, but yeah, I think it is pretty busted, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Lucario's not going to like an Earthquake, and Power Up Punch won't kill you quick enough.
Yeah, but equally, a pumped up Lucario is
Yeah.
terrifying when it's got energy.
It is. It is,
down.
yeah.
I think Lucario could be a really good pick late month once everyone cottons on to the fact that Wormadam trash. She's awesome. That's once everyone starts realizing that Wormadam's going to start farming.
I don't think we'll see many. No, people never run it. It always looks great, and it never ever gets run like in mass.
I hope not. Every team I'm building is like 5 times a week to Wormadam. So fingers crossed.
No one's bringing those.
To be fair,
Nice.
there's about 5 bugs that I keep going back and forth between. I change my mind every day which bugs I want, and so I think I've settled on making room for 2. But yeah, whether Wormadam gets in it, I don't know. But, yeah.
PvP rankings are a bit like that, aren't they? They're like really bug heavy towards the top. Take up the specialists.
Yeah, Beedrill, Fortress, Galv, all right up there. An Icicle Spear from a non-shadow does 32% to a Lucario.
Yeah,
that's
nasty.
ridiculous. I'm going to have a look at how much the shadow does now quickly. Shadow does 37.
Yeah, sounds about right.
That's a bit too much, that.
And like you say, given that you can get a couple of Power Stones and stack a few Icicle Spears, like playing against the Walrein is really infuriating because you lose track of its energy. Well, certainly I lose track of its energy really fast, and all of a sudden it's hitting you with 2 Icicle Spears, and then it's 2 away from the third, and that's good.
Giving it a move that good and it being this bulky is utterly ridiculous.
I'm waiting for it to get mid-month.
Yeah, yeah. I assume, you know what it'll be, is that it'll be one of those where everyone's crying out for the nerf all month. It will get nerfed, and then it'll get nerfed the month after. Just
Can't
like they always do.
While the actual regionals are on, so they didn't do any move changes, did they?
That's true.
Do you know what? I'm glad I didn't face one at the weekend. My team was built against it because I was expecting to see them everywhere because it is so good, especially the shadow.
The shadow, I've from the sims I've looked at, the extra shadow damage from the Earthquake is really nice against the bug steals.
Yeah.
I'm still unsure as to whether I want to run the shadow or the regular.
Yeah, I think they're 2 kind of different mons. I think obviously if you want to be spamming and living stuff, you go non-shadow. But if you really want to one-shot stuff, the shadow will do that for you. I mean, what doesn't want to take an Earthquake here that Icicle Spear isn't hitting? Is there anything that resists both?
No, well, the other things that resist both are the water bug is like pretty much the only. Is it Surskit? I'm pretty sure is the only thing that resists.
Yeah, that's the only thing that resists both.
Yeah.
Get a Surskit in your team. Say anything from this episode.
I'll keep my eye out for one of them then, definitely.
But there's a couple of water bugs coming. Well, is it this generation that's currently releasing? There's a couple of water bugs in Alola, right? Golisopod and the spider thing.
I have no idea.
Okay, so maybe with it, when these things come out, that'll help Walrein a little bit. And I know one of them
if
gets.
They don't mess up its movesets.
Well, I know the other one. I don't know what moves Class gets. I know the spidery thing gets lunge and bubble beam, which could be a little bit disgusting.
That could be a bit ridiculous. That.
Yeah, but whether that's enough to buff Walrein, to nerf Walrein, I doubt. I don't know whether water bugs are great typing overall.
I'm just looking at the ones between Shadow Politoed and Shadow Walrein. You can, if you have a bit of attack on your Walrein, possibly win CMP. It's not great. You're not going to have top 5Es, but if you've got a bit of a naff Walrein and you just wanted the shadow and it's like 10, 10, 15 or whatever, you could possibly win CMP. And that means you need a 1-turn lead to flip the ones, because the earthquake kills if you land it.
That's pretty nice. I know there's...
Don't live the dynamic punch, but this is if they go straight dynamic punch, which I'm assuming most Poliwrath as well. Because if you bait with ice punch, you're in trouble.
That's a risky bait.
Somebody calls that and that's game. They could just win straight earthquake probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I looked, if either of the poly or the Walrein is shadow, and you shield the dynamic punch and then let the earthquake through, and then they've let the earthquake through, things get really hairy. Yeah, like you can shield the next farm down, and then where's the Walrein counter? Yes, you're down shields, but you've got a bunch of energy and there's nothing, So it's nice. It's nice. I wonder how much it will end up centralizing this meta, to be honest.
I think it'll be pretty big. I think you look at like the top required picks. You got Fortress, Beedrill, Galv, Walrein. All of them, other than maybe Fortress, are going to be pretty soft to Walrein. You've got the mirror. Galv's not going to want to take Icicle Spears. Like even Politoed. Politoed can take on Galv. And this is very similar to a pre-nerfed Politoed. Once you're ahead, they're not catching you. Even if they lunge, I assume the shadow will do some serious damage.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be a case of three Icicle Spears and Galv's gone. So, you get a couple ahead and you're probably flipping that in the ones. You don't even need the Earthquake, just go straight Icicle Spear. Then you've got Zoelius and Beedrill, the non-shadow one down at 9 and 10. Well, you're probably beating... Beedrill's a very close matchup because I know because I've looked at running it. And the shadow just beats the regular Walrein in the ones. Not sure how it plays out with the shadow one.
I think it's IV for shadow Beedrill as well.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I feel like Shadow Beedrill is one of those which IVs against everything, right? Like whenever it's doing
Yeah, this is the thing. You need it bulky for certain things, but then like Frostlass, I think you need a bit of attack on it. So the drill run will KO. So it's one of those where you're probably going to beat it with one of your two mons that are a bit close with it.
It's interesting you mentioned Frostlass. That's the matchup that I don't like. It's the Walrein. Because that's one of those ones where the stab on the Shadow Ball and the extra speed to it is better than the Earthquake, I think. From what I'm seeing. This is
why I've been looking at the non-shadow, because you can live a Shadow Ball much easier.
Yeah, like
it's not a nice matchup, but you're double resisting the Powder Snows, aren't you? And hitting them back with the neutral.
Yeah, Frostlass was getting slept on here, I think.
I think Frostlass is going to be really common.
You think it's going to be really common?
Yeah, I think some people are looking at some of the practice tournaments. That Poliwrath Frostlass core already seems to be coming out a little bit. Been to a couple of people earlier who sort of thinking already about breaking that core. What breaks that? Because that does look pretty strong.
And there's also the potential for the Frostlass and Polion pairing that we saw in Glacial, which was good. And I suppose Poliwrath was there as well, right? So we know from experience that sort of trio works well together.
I think even Empoleon, I mean, it's dual resisting your Powder Snows, but Earthquake again is such a dangerous combination here.
Yeah.
And I won't be surprised if a lot of teams have Poliwrath because of this. Either the shadow, even if they don't.
You definitely need to have something on your team, which is
Poliwrath as a Poliwrath as a non-shadow dominates it because you just go straight dynamic punch. You can take an Earthquake.
Yeah.
But if you imagine if you're against the Walrein up shields, what are you doing here? Like even like Lucario's in trouble, especially in like those 0-1s.
I think to what David was saying in terms of having stuff to take it on, I'm looking at stuff where what I don't want to be doing is dealing with a safe switch Walrein. So I'm looking at stuff where I can lead and then not feel the need to switch out.
Yeah.
Even if I lose, but lose narrowly, that's fine. Because
you can farm it down and go from there.
Yeah, because what else other than Poliwrath and Blaziken and Obstagoon? I've got a really good rank Shadow Walrein that beats Obstagoon in the zeros. So if it's got so it does. I don't think it even needs a Powder Snow. So
yeah, play that matchup in GVL all the time because I use Obstagoon, and it's just such a pain. If they say swap Walrein, you have to bring in your Obstagoon. Well, it beats you to 2 anyway, and then it's got a 1 advantage. You know, a cross chop does hardly anything to it.
Yeah, so it's certainly going to be something you're going to need to strategize around.
Yeah.
Anyone got any other thoughts on Walrein?
It's okay.
It's approved,
It's
right?
really annoying face, to be honest.
Yeah, like
in a meta built gone.
We saw a lot of Escavalier last month, right? I think this month might be the Walrein month.
Honestly, in a meta that is literally built, like the first pick you're told to make, of, you know, in this sense, like here's your fighters. You know, they've gone. Every team has to have a fighter of sense. You know, Quag or something like that. And another matchup, Quag is really close. Even though they're hitting you super effective with Stone Edge, it's super close, just because of the pure damage output.
And that's when I believe where the Shadow on Walrein suffers, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so. I've had a bit of a look of it, and I think this is why I think the non-Shadows ranked higher, is just because it lives very specific matchups just a bit better.
Yeah,
I think even Fortress as well. Even then, oh no, you can. I was just double checking. You can actually go straight mirror shot with Fortress. I was wondering if that was you need to.
You just don't shield. You just don't shield as Walrein. Just take shields, spam it down with like something else.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Yeah,
mirror shot's a terrible move. It's a great bait move, but
you could maybe run it with Heavy Slam, I guess. Maybe
I think Rock Tomb would probably be better.
Rock Tomb's more energy, isn't it? And yeah, but then I guess you stab. Yeah,
because Heavy Slam's not a great move either, and you're not really hitting much else with it. Whereas if you had like Rock Tomb, you're gonna hit like
the thing with Heavy Slam is people. Yeah. I guess the thing with Heavy Slam is people think, well, you're not at the Earthquake, so maybe less inclined to shield.
And it's significantly quicker than the Earthquake, whereas Stone Edge is Rock Tomb is kind of that's
close, just quicker. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm not sure how much Fortress we'll see here.
I mean, I wonder whether Walrein will in fact be as popular as it might deserve to be, just of the psychology of the cup, where just the way that graphic of the cup was set out is pick your fighter.
Yeah.
Now going into building your team, in your head is every team's got a fighter.
Yeah.
So I don't get me wrong, I think Walrein's going to be excellent. I don't think it'll see the 50% usage or whatever that.
I hope so. I really hope so, because I don't want to deal with it. No. I really don't want to deal with it. Even having my own, I don't want to deal with it. Just don't use it. It's not going to be anywhere, guys. Don't use it. It's terrible.
Is there a significant advantage to Shadow or non-Shadow in the mirror?
I'm not checked. Just give me a second.
I'll bring it also. Because like the damage output extra on one is offset by the defense drop on it, right? So
yeah, I assume so. I assume it comes down to CMP and baiting.
Yeah, is it going to be one of them metas a bit like when Frostlass is allowed or Toxie is allowed? You kind of just want a bit of attack because you're going to have that mirror 20 times a month.
Yeah.
It looks like the non-Shadow beats it. I'm just going to check IVs. So both of them with perfect IVs, same energy, simultaneous KO. It's exactly the same. you bait in the ones you bait the Icicle Spear, land the Earthquake, and kill, and then you have to go for a second Earthquake. So I think it could be ID dependent, because if you've got poor IVs, you could probably kill with an Icicle Spear. So when you throw the Earthquake, yeah, when you throw the Earthquake
after
at
the
the
first
end,
Earthquake, it's low, but not low enough to spear.
it depends on IVs.
Yeah.
I think most non-shadows will live will live the Icicle Spear. But I think versus a shadow, I'd be pretty willing to throw that Icicle Spear because they won't have the best IVs.
Mine will. Just saying.
Nice. It's nice to know for when I finally face you.
Rank 24. There you go.
At least you win CMP, Aaron.
That's true.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll go on to your pick then, Holmsy.
Okay. I always feel like I pick something I can't pronounce. And it's one that, so I'm going for Hiswain, something like that. Who cares? Electrode. And does it even have a Pokedex number different to the Kanto one? Who cares? Dan will tell you in the comments, I'm sure.
Dan isn't bothered about Pokedex numbers anymore, is he? Anyway, didn't he?
No, he's all about more. He prefers the lore, right? His Pokedex numbers were very 2020, but so.
Well, sorry, Dan, I don't know the lore behind it either. It's it's an old Electrode that is also a grass type. I really like it, but don't like it at the same time. But then, it just because it's such a weird one. It's the grass type that doesn't beat every water, but it's the electric type that beats things electric shouldn't beat and things like that. So it's just quite a weird mon because of that the grass typing. So like it's an electric type that beats Quagsire straight energy ball and things like that. But I guess you can just argue it's your grass type. But in my mind, it's an electric type that beats Quagsire and things like that. So it's just got some really weird matchups that you probably wouldn't expect it to win, but it only wins. I think it's like 50% of the merit. It doesn't beat an absolute truckload. But Aaron mentioned earlier that Walrein absolutely dominates it. It's actually quite close because it's only 5 to the wild charge, so you win the zeros on CMP. And then you lose the ones just because it's only 4 to the second Icicle Spear. So you're only one sneak or one Thundershock advantage away from winning the ones. If Walrein wins it wins it with loads of health. It's bad. But
it's like 2 out of 2/3 health left on Walrein,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, because you're not doing, even though you're doing super effective fast move damage, you're just not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, but if you can get to wild charge first, as in the zeros you do because you win CMP. So you can't switch it into a Walrein, but they equally can't switch a Walrein into you.
Yeah.
So it's one of that. And if they can't switch their ice type into your grass, then that's pretty good going.
I'm a little bit surprised that Wild Charge kills in the zeros, to be honest. Like I know Wild Charge is a really good move, but like Discharge from Galvantula and the Dedenne does, like, I mean, it does a lot, but not
I think
enough.
it just kills. I think it is very tight.
It could even be
IV. But I think it's IVs, but I think you're not one-shotting it from full health.
You need the Thundershock. So I was just wondering if like a really high rank Walrein could maybe just survive it. I don't know. I
think it would have to be HP weighted.
It'd be really cool if there was a Thundershock breakpoint against Walrein, and that's something that'd be awesome.
It's just quite a fun one. Like everyone's shielding wild charges, aren't they? Like, and there's I really wanted an electric type because there's not much ground. So what is there? Flygon, Excadrill, and one other?
Yeah.
Well, there was 3 off the top of my head, but I can't remember what the third one is. And they're sort of like this the picture you have to make. So if you're not picking one of those, you've not got a ground type. Well, then your electric's going crazy. So I really wanted an electric. And I'm sort of torn between this and Aichu. Still not fully decided, but the energy ball is really good coverage.
I think this
put grass obviously on Aichu.
But this absolutely walls Aichu, completely walls it, doesn't it, with the double resist of the electric.
I thought Aichu would be more popular because of the because of the fighting resist.
Yeah, I was thinking that. It seems like a
Still
good
very
matchup
soft
with
though, right?
Fighter and Flyers as the two kind of.
Yeah, I'm torn between the two currently. Like obviously they've both got wild charge. You know, they're both just really good picks. H2 probably has the slightly, you know, the heavier fast move damage. But there's something about this massive sprite on the load on the 6 at the bottom. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Takes up the whole page. I just want that 6 times this month next to my name.
Intimidation factor. That's,
Exactly, you know.
Yeah.
I guess
Is
it's
there
like
any
also.
reason why you went? Is there any reason why you went with it over Galv with Energy Ball?
I used Galv this month, and I guess it's going to be the same with any electric you choose. I just found with Galv that when someone walls it, someone walls it.
Walls it, yeah.
Like you're thinking like Dragalge this month or Regirock. There quite a lot of games this month. I've had Galv and gone, oh, Galv beats 4 comfortably, has 1 relatively neutral matchup, and Dragalge. And then you're a bit worried to bring it. So I think it's just maybe with Energy Ball it's slightly better coverage, but then are you dropping Discharge because you don't really want to drop Lunge?
Yeah,
it's a
to be
tough
honest,
one,
I'm looking at something a bit different with Galv, but I need to test it.
Yeah.
But I think Energy Ball would probably, I mean, what are you hitting here with Electric that you desperately need it for? Maybe Noctowl, because that's going to hurt you these days, right?
What about Walrein?
So you got your grass
Yeah,
move.
true.
If you go in energy,
You get
if
your
you go in
grass move.
energy ball, but it's further to energy ball. Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Walrein's going to shield regardless, right? Or at least the first time around.
Oh, I don't know. Like they can chew a
I'm not
discharge.
sure.
Yeah, they can chew a discharge.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
How is it living that? Gal's
Yeah.
attack stats like on par with Gallade.
Just back to how, like, and that's the thing. Everyone just go around in a circle to how good Walrein is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like Electrode. It's not. I think it's one of them that it might be like your 6th pick. And you think actually this does beat a few of the things I'm a bit worried about, like your Noctowl, and you know it's then the safe switch again. If they've not got a ground type, so if they've not picked the extra or the Flygon, if you're safe swap an Electrode, what are they bringing into it?
I mean, and to be fair, even if they have picked a ground type, most of the ground types are going to be Quagsire, right? And
Yeah.
you're not going to want to switch that in either. Like your big thing is going to. I think your big things are going to be Bugs and Walrein, really. But
You can't
Beedrill for sure.
Beedrill.
Beedrill's going to be everywhere, I think.
Beedrill's not taking a wild charge, is it?
No, especially not the Shadow.
But
can you take the poison charge and the poison jabs and the X-Scissor?
No, definitely coming out. You're definitely taking a shield if they swap their Beedrill into your Grass Electrode.
Yeah. Is it 5 to the first with Thundershock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, so,
not good. Yeah.
Like I think it's just pretty like not as busted as Walrein maybe, but you in the same time frame like Obstagoon gets to a cross chop.
Yeah.
Electrodes get into a wild charge. You know, there's a massive difference. So
yeah,
it's going to take shields. I think it could be really good mid game, even good as a lead wild charge and dip. Maybe A2 could do a similar thing, but it just takes a bit longer to get to that wild charge.
I think its matchup with Ferrothorn is interesting because obviously you're going to wall each other completely, but you're slightly better off moveset wise.
So I imagine that comes when you throw the wild charge.
That's it, yeah. That's it. If you can throw it later.
Because even like I was looking earlier at some of the Electrode's matchups, like PV Poke's got it losing to Goon, but it's because it's got the CMP tie-in, the Night Slash to the wild charge, both shielding. And then, I'm not throwing wild charge that early. If I'm going to commit a shield, I'm building to 2. You know, so I think there's a lot of things about playing wild charge users that maybe a few people are more comfortable with than others.
Similar in the Walrein matchup, rather than going for the CMP, you know, you were saying you have to sneak. I think you're better there just throwing, and then you don't have to. You don't even. Do you have to shield the first one, the first icicle sphere, or can you Can you?
I
'cause you said
don't
you
know
didn't-
if you can tank one. You can surely tank one. No, I've not even built my Electrode yet. I don't. Is it
Okay.
how squishy is it?
It'll be very close, especially against the shadow.
It's kind of Frostlass levels of full, right? Frostlass.
Yeah,
beats
about
all that.
1800, isn't it?
So,
Yeah.
I bet with the Powder's Nose, you think it's just not taking this. Let's find out. So,
I imagine that's
Electrode.
very close versus the shadow. I assume the
So-
non-shadow will.
The Icicle Sphere does 58%. And each Icicle Sphere does 5%. So 5, 25.
See, you can.
It's doing
tank
about 80%. Yeah, so 5 Powder Snows and the, yeah. So you
So
can
but then
tank it.
You're probably not going to make it to a second wild charge, then, are you? Before they
No.
farm you down. So.
And versus the shadow Walrein, that gets very, very squeaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus the shadow, the powder snows, when they get to the icicle spear, leave you on 78 health. The average icicle spear does 77.
Okay, right.
That
And
is going to be very tight.
And you might
Yeah,
That-
at that point you've taken a single fast move damage from that
Yeah.
previous mod.
Yeah.
Or if I wonder if there's a powder snow breakpoint. Let's have a look.
so what I think is, but
I
like,
imagine
if you're
there
in,
is.
if you're in that matchup, you're in that matchup for sure. So I think you should throw the wild charge straight away.
Yeah,
If
there's
you
no
ha-
powder snow breakpoint.
If you
So
happen to
you're
sneak,
taking
then maybe you
that.
can try and play the ones. If you don't sneak, just let it go instead of shield
Yeah.
advantage. But then that
Yeah.
Walrein's really healthy, so you need. Yeah, it's a grass
Yeah.
type, right? It's not a Walrein counter.
Yeah,
It's not my electric type at all.
Yeah, that's where your Polyrath comes in, right? That's the
But that's what I mean by it's a really weird one. So it's one of them that it's obviously a grass electric, but it does kind of good. The grass typing helps and hinders it at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think as far as a hindrance goes, given how the other electrics struggle versus Walrein anyway, like that to me feels like a good thing to give up, a good compromise to make on a Pokemon, right? Something where it wasn't a dead set anyway that your electric type was beating Walrein, as daft as it sounds. So, giving that up and knowing you're going to lose to pick up the grass move is that feels to me like a really good trade-off. Like I can fully get on board with that. Whereas especially with stab on energy ball, whereas I don't think I'd be able to get on board with that with either Galv or H-U. Because of what you lose out elsewhere. Have you practiced with Dedenne at all, or Dedenne at all? Because we've mentioned a lot of electric types, but not really much about Dedenne.
I don't know if the poison typing helps it here. I mean, the fairy typing helps it here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it does, especially versus some of the other. Obviously, it helps versus the fighters, but you can tank that extra move. Like a lot of their nuke moves.
Yeah, because the play,
especially
the play rough is from the Dedenne is really nice, but I think what the main thing I was thinking was with Electrode's weakness to bug, like I think Fortress is really good here, right? I'm just going to say I think Fortress is really good. If Fortress ends up being good, the nice thing I found about the Dedenne was that the bug typing, the fairy typing,
fairy resist bug.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can win that one easy, but then as you say, the poison weakness is not nice either.
Beedrill's obviously, and that what factions meta was it where that matchup kept going up? So Dedenne versus Beedrill.
Twilight.
Yeah, it will have been.
Yeah.
I guess at least they have to go for drill runs versus Dedenne, whereas versus Electrode, they're just going to throw X's up.
True.
Yeah. Do you think Fortress will be popular then? Fortress is so annoying. Like, it's one of those. I just think every time it switches in, I just think, right, let's just flip a coin and see who's gonna win. It's just so annoying.
Attack drop.
Yeah. Am I going to shield
it?
an earthquake or not? Like, I don't know.
I think if Polyrath is as popular as I think it's going to be, Fortress doesn't have that much play. because you're resisting the bug bites. If they've got Mirror Shot Earthquake, do you really want to bait?
Poliwrath doesn't resist bug bite, does it?
Yeah, fighting resist bug.
Oh right, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think I just think Poliwrath's Fortress is really, really safe here. I think, because even against Poliwrath, you're not actually weak to the dynamic punches, so you're not going to die to one.
No,
you land.
I think they do about 50%, don't they?
Yeah, just under. But then with the mud shots, you're going to struggle. But you're going to need. You're forcing the Poliwrath to throw its energy. It can't. It can't take the piss out of you. The biggest things that Fortress is going to have to worry about is the Noctowl, Charizard, Blaziken. How common are they going to be?
Well, Noctowl's going to be everywhere. It's going to be the most common pick from that's what I reckon.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
People like Noctowl. I think that's going to be the issue. Is that it's familiar. We've used it before. There's fighters everywhere.
People also think that about Frostlass.
True.
And I think Frostlass will be popular in that slot,
especially in a Walrein meta.
It'll be interesting to see.
A few of my team builds have ended up with Noctowl, and it's something I'm really trying to avoid purely because of Walrein.
Yeah, and the potential for the electrics as well.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so after a bit of a shuffle around, we'll go to David next.
Cool. Yeah. So I've got. We've already touched on it a couple of times. Actually, I've gone for Pokedex number 15. The quite inaccurately titled Poison Bee. Poison Bee Pokemon. Beedrill, but it's not a bee. It's not poisonous. It's venomous, so it should be called the venomous wasp Pokemon, I think. But whatever. Beedrill number 15, and particularly, I think you need to go for the Shadow variant here. It's just much scarier to face, isn't it? If you get a couple of poison jabs and then you potentially, like you say, even Frostlass doesn't want to take a drill run when people are probably going to think that's quite a safe matchup. And if they let the first one go, you can just poison jab it down, come out with a load more energy. So, and I think it's fairly safe here, apart from obviously like Noctowl or like Charizard. It's you can set your team up, if you lead it, you can set your team up in a way where it doesn't really matter so much if you lose the lead. You can safe swap like we've just proven. You can safe swap Walrein into like a flyer, and that's you're still looking pretty good whatever comes in. So I think it's I think it could have some good play, and like you say, fit pretty well with like Walrein, which would be pretty good. There's a few other things I think it pairs well with as well. So like Quag and Poly can pair quite good with things that are weak to grass, or its main weaknesses, thinking like rock, fire, the ground types. So even something like Cradilly I thought as well might pair quite good with it as well.
I really like the Empoleon pair.
Yeah, Empoleon, that's another good one I looked at as well. Definitely. I thought I've built a team with Empoleon, but I think I like Cradilly because I think it covers the fighting weakness quite nicely as well, and the fact that Cradilly can beat the flyers is nice. So if you're not having that as your main kind of anti-flyer, but then having it there can catch people out, I think. So yeah, to be honest, I've not really put that much thought into it yet, but I think it looks pretty good. And the Walrein as well, it is IV dependent, but you can beat it in the ones just straight X scissor, which is pretty good. Yeah.
It's very solid. I mean, you're getting there at similar rates, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very
second,
similar.
they land their second icicle spear, and it almost kills you, but doesn't, and then you kill it with the second.
Is that Shadow versus Shadow? That
that's shadow versus non-shadow. So shadow Beedrill versus non-shadow Walrein. So probably the shadow Walrein kills you.
Yeah, it most
Yeah.
likely will do.
Yeah, I did.
But I imagine they don't want to take a move from you either. So energy-wise, it'll be one of those matchups you don't want to be switching in on.
Yeah, and as well, I think similar to what I was trying to say with Electrode, I think it's one of them where I wouldn't try and CMP. I would just keep throwing. I would just throw the poison jab and hope that I sneak a move. Because then,
Yeah,
if you manage to, then you see much. Yeah. And if you can deny, I guess.
What I like about it is, so I picked up Blaziken early month, and I still think it's good, and still think that in the right hands it's going to work. I just don't think those hands are mine. What I really liked about Blaziken was that it's got the moves to kill things like Beedrill, which will classically counter the fighting types. But what I found in practice was that Beedrill will just shield. There'll be a lot of things like this, and it'll apply to a Poliwrath as well in certain scenarios, particularly if it's got Skull. Beedrill will shield and farm down.
That's it. Yeah.
90 energy, and then what's going to take?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's so dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that only works if you don't have Noctowl.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that truly walls it here, really.
Yeah, true. That's true.
I mean, but that's the advantage of it though. Beedrill here works really nice as a swap or as a so even Quag, you can if they swap in Quag, you can 2-shield that and win that match, which you think that's pretty stupid really when you're hitting it with poison jabs, but you can win that. So I think the nice thing about it is you can use it as either a lead and then dip out, or it is a good. It's quite versatile. It's not just like, oh, it's a good lead or it's a good safe swap. If they've got Noctowl, you can lead it. If they don't have Noctowl, you could safe swap it. But it can work well. Yeah.
Beedrill versus Quag in the 2s. From a standing start, you leave Quag with 3 HP. If you get a double bit, and that's versus a stat like a rank 1 shadow, well, almost a rank 1 shadow.
I think if you get if you get 1 or 2 poison jabs in the 2 shields, you win that.
You have to land the drill run, but it's still a hell of a lot.
But you throw that straight away because they're not going to shield that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is it Glacial that matchup happened a fair bit?
Yeah.
So Beedrill was quite a good safe swap in Glacial, wasn't it? Because if they brought in their Quag, you're actually not that bothered by that. You're quite happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what makes Beedrill, like, other than Noctowl, as Aaron was saying, you don't, when you're building your team, you don't like think about Beedrill counters. You just think everything's got a little bit of play against it. But then as soon as the Beedrill gets the 1 or the 2 poison jabs, you lose that play very quickly, don't you? It's it's crazy. And
I think rock type wise, we're not going to see much. Maybe Crustle. So other than that, unless someone's running Dwebble, you're not going to see much.
Magcargo's got play, but it's so risky. Magcargo is so risky.
With the fighters everywhere, I mean, even like just the water types in general.
Yeah.
That are available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wireless as well.
I keep thinking about it, and
I don't think it's the one. unless Wormadam, Trash, and Forretress are everywhere. Just don't.
Well, I mean, I've also thought about Delphox, but it turns out one of the things I simmed Delphox versus was Beedrill, and Beedrill beats Delphox in the 0s and 1s.
Are you kidding?
No, I promise you.
Pretty sure, like some of the fighters will take it as well. It's like a psychic type that loses to fighters.
I don't know. It certainly beats Poliwrath in the 1s because the first Psyshock doesn't kill. Or is it Psychic?
Is that with Scold?
No, not with Scold. Not with Scold. Like,
I
Scold will finish it, but but I don't think many are really Scold from what I've seen at least.
I guess it depends. Like we say, if Frostlass is popular, because that's a big matchup for Poliwrath with Scold.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. Even Dynamic Punch does a lot to Frostlass.
Yeah, but you're not going to be winning it from like a standing start without Scold.
Yeah.
Although with the Shadow Wrath, you can. I use Shadow Wrath a bit, and the Dynamic Punch is close enough to 50% that the mud shots.
Wow. Yeah, But I'm assuming they could just go straight Shadow Ball and outpace you, right?
I don't think so.
No, it's 6, isn't it?
Because you'll need 4,
Mm.
won't you? You'll need 4 to KO if it does 50%, and they'll need, if you're the Shadow, they'll need Powder Snows plus landing 1 Shadow Ball.
Oh, in the 2s.
Yeah, or even the 1s, I assume.
No, in the ones you need to throw 3, I think, yeah?
Yeah.
'Cause-
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty big then, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Quag versus Poliwrath is one of the matchups I think I want Scald for. Because obviously people assume Quag wins, but the second you get that Scald debuff, it's your game to lose, really.
It's true. Yeah.
But I think with B, it'll be quite common here. It looks very good. I do like it.
It's one of those ones I've tried using it a couple of times now, and it's really frustrating because whenever I face it, it tears me apart, but I've not been able to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I know this might sound dumb or arrogant or whatever, because I know it's really good. I think I'm leaning on it too much and trying to get it to do too much. Whereas sometimes things can just be good, not by accident, but just by virtue of being what they are, right? And
Yeah,
Beedrill's a classic example of that.
it's been my best pick this month. I wish the Shadow was available. The rest of my team was fairly poorly put together looking back, but Beedrill was a great pick. People sleeping on the Infestation.
Fair.
I think it's been a bit of a sleeper pick 2 months in a row now, hasn't it? It was sort of quite good in Guardian as well.
Yeah, and even before that, because there weren't many about in Glacial.
So
There
I
weren't
ran
that
it in
many there
Glacial.
either.
Yeah, I ran in Glacial.
Yeah, it was great. It was good.
So it's been available. So it's been available every month then. This
Mhm.
season.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
and it's been viable every month.
Yeah. Good man indeed.
Mm.
Any further thoughts on Beedrill? Because if not, what my pick is similar, right? So we'll.
Yeah.
I think depending on how common Malamar becomes, because obviously it has that Psychic Dark typing, can do okay against the fighters, while also warding off a lot of the other more common, like Walrein versus Malamar is not a match if you want to be in.
I thought Malamar would be more common than it is, to be honest. When I saw this cup, I was thinking this has the potential to look a lot like Glacial. With your ice types, your Poliwraths, your Quagsires, your Empoleons, your Bugs. And Xylos, I think, is really good here, even if it's certainly the Prime Dragon, right? But even if there's not much choice for Dragon. And Malamar was really good there. So I am a little bit surprised we're not seeing more Malamar in practice.
I really like Malamar. I've got it in my team at the moment. I don't know if I've got it because I've going through a bit of a phase of enjoying using it. Like I used it not this month, obviously, a month before, and it's just so deadly. Like if it gets a bit of energy, it's just, the only frustrating thing about it is often its charge moves don't do quite enough, like quite as much as you wish that they did, and you can't farm anything down with Psycho Cut. That's the only thing. But it is a great mon for kind of just piling on the pressure, piling on shield pressure, and setting yourself up. And superpower, like it's a non-stab superpower, and it's a little. The first superpower is like more energy efficient than the foul play. So if you lead it, superpower and dip is so good.
Yeah. I think it's gonna play. It's gonna play for sure.
Oh, I've just looked at the Noctowl Malamar matchup. If they shield a foul play, so you go foul play, superpower, and they go Sky Attack, Shadow Ball, you leave it on 3 HP in the ones. I mean, it's very, very tight. But obviously you throw a superpower at the end because it's better than foul play. But I think if that does become common, Beedrill absolutely annihilates it.
Yeah.
X-Scissor almost one-shots it, right?
Yeah, it must do. From a shadow, it must do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those where if Malamar sneaks, or you probably don't want to swap Beedrill into Malamar either, to be honest, because the
I
Psycho.
think if you're quick, you'll be okay. Because
So-
foul play is not doing that much damage. I
Malamar's
think you.
But then they're probably in a position where they can just shield, and like I say, it's hard to Psycho cut something down. But if you are going to Psycho cut something down, Shadow Beedrill is the thing to do it on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
Malamar's
you're getting there at exactly the same rate. So Malamar with
Yeah,
an energy lead is actually kind of dangerous.
it's
Yeah.
one of those. It's one of those mons like Walrein where you don't really want to switch anything into it. It's
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. Which
Yeah, you have to have a specific thing ready for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a few mons like that here, which I think is really quite exciting.
Yeah.
Because it means, like, I've found as the game's got more and more variety of mons in it, like this sort of classic save swap is harder to do because there's always like there's more weird things that fill weird niches which make them relevant
Yeah.
to each meta.
Everything has a hard counter now. Like certain things before just didn't. You know, you look at like when they brought in like Jellicent and stuff like that, they just changed the way the meta has to be played now.
Yeah, I think back to Rose Cup and Gliscor, for example. Like now, I'm sure there'd be some weird grey Pokemon that knows Ice Fang or something, or like I bet Avalug's grey. I don't know.
Hippodon or something.
I mean,
Yeah.
Steelix now. I don't know if I think it was viable. That's got Ice Fang now.
That's it.
Or is it Thunderfang? No, it's Thunderfang, not Ice Fang.
Yeah.
Don't want to
If
swap
they'd
back
given
to
it Ice
Gliscor.
Fang, if they'd given it Ice Fang, it'd have been absolutely broken.
Yeah. Malamar's a bit like that, and
Yeah.
Beedrill is too, right? Beedrill's apart from that, as we keep saying. But, my pick's kind of similar in that regard. My pick is number 407, Roserade. It's obviously got the poison type in, and obviously got the spammy charge moving Weather Ball Fire, with the access to poison jab. I like Roserade's really odd because it's sort of like the opposite of what Holmsy was talking about with Electrode being the electric type that beats Quack. Roserade is the grass type that loses to Quack, right? Because because PvP says poison jab. I actually think if you're going to run poison jab Roserade, you're better off just running Beedrill, personally. And so I think if you're going to run Roserade, you want it because it's going to be Quack, and then some bullet seeds, exactly. And I did look as well. With running grass and fire moves, you have the potential to be walled a little bit even harder by Noctowl, because bullet seed is just pitiful. Whereas at least poison jab's gonna you might be able to finish off a low health Noctowl with poison jabs. You're not going to be able to do that with with bullet seeds. So I even looked into Dazzling Gleam, just to see whether it made it a bit more interesting. But you dropped Quag in. And I thought Bullet Seed Dazzling Gleam would be enough to beat Quag. It isn't. But
Too bulky.
yeah, but I often find myself what I found myself here. I build myself into a team building hole where I'm weak to bug and I'm weak to water. And filling that slot, given the variety of waters here, Empoleon, Quagsire, and Poliwrath, they all have different. Like this is the beauty of this double typing, right? They all have different weaknesses, and the bug types also largely have different stuff going on. Beedrill, Fortress, Wormadam, Galvantula, even Crustle. I think could be solid. Roserade is the only thing I can see that fills that hole, and as I say, it only does that with Bullet Seed because of Quack. I think Empoleon also beats it with Poison Jab as well, so that's something to look into.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I guess how much does Leaf Storm do? Because I'm assuming that hurts a lot.
Oh, I'm sure it'd OHKO. But I'm thinking grass knot because
Yeah, I
it's,
think that's not,
Quicker, you get there quicker.
yeah, you
Do you
don't.
not drop Crustle? I mean, do you beat Crustle in the ones with grass knot?
I mean, possibly not.
I
But
think I don't think you do.
I'd rather shore up the Quagsire than
Fair
and risk losing the Crustle. There's always it's like David was saying earlier with running another move on Fortress. Like if you do enough poison jabs to fake the Leaf Storm,
Yeah, you're gonna get the shield.
you're gonna get the shield, right? So I'd rather shore up the Quagsire matchup, which is one of the things that was causing me those issues because of the electric immunity it's got. The only outside thing of the bugs that beats it is Wormadam Trash, which is you got to be fast switching it in because one, weather ball won't kill it, but two obviously will, and with the confusions being non-stab, they don't chunk through as much as you might think. So there's certainly play there, and you're going to force a shield if you're not getting switch, and it's one of those where you're forcing a shield, and if they do shield, you've still done a lot of damage to it, because you'll still land the second one or you'll land the first one either way, which is quite nice. Sometimes forcing a shield can be a bit deceptive. In this case, it's not. And then Wormadam has the problem of its charge moves being. Oh, Aaron's gone. Yeah, Wormadam's charge moves aren't the best, right? But I mean, Bug Buzz is good, but there's plenty to resist it.
yeah, there's lots of things that you don't mind actually switching in on that, and like if Noctowl comes in, the worst it's taking is what's the steel move? I've forgotten now. Ironhead, isn't it?
Ironhead, yeah.
Because even a loaded Wormadam with like 30% health, I'd happily bring Poliwrath into that, right? Because you're resisting both of its charge moves and it's non-stab confusion, and you'll get to your charge moves to knock it out.
Yeah, that's another example of like moves not quite doing enough. Like even I can't remember, there was a meta a couple of months back where I was running Wormadam, and you'd often switch it into Shadow Machamp, and you'd have to, and Shadow Machamp would like force it. What was that? Sorry, Holmsy?
Was it Brawler?
Brawler, that was it, mate. Yeah, Brawler. And Shadow Machamp would force a shield from you. There's like a couple of games where I was like, I'd lined up my Wormadam against the Shadow Machamp and still lost. Like, yeah. So it doesn't do. I do think it might be a good pick here, to be honest. But it's one of those where it can be a little bit underwhelming as well.
Yeah,
I think Wormadam works best when it can farm something down, so it's got energy to go sort of from a fresh start. You're always getting outpaced. As I say, it's non-stop confusion, so you never feel like you're really hitting it hard.
Yeah,
it's like an infuriating one to use.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's and so ultimately that's what I concluded as well, right? I concluded that as much as I think Wormadam might be quite good here, maybe other people won't. So that's the concession I'm willing to make with Roserade filling that slot. Now the fact that I keep team building myself into that hole, maybe I've started in the wrong place and I'm doing the wrong stuff. That hole seems to be there, but I just thought it was worth mentioning that Roserade filled that role, but then also the fact that hole keeps existing, and then the fact that it's either or of Quagsire or Wormadam that sort of is causing the problem makes me think that Quagsire and Wormadam might be a nice pair, and all of a sudden
Quag and Wormadam here are a really solid pair, actually. There's not much, especially I think there's a three, like Quag, Wormadam and Galvantula, and those three they're really hard. I don't think anything beats all three of them, and can be really tricky to play around. So I think Quag and Wormadam could work nice together.
Yeah, I was looking at Quag, Wormadam and Skuntank, as well. But I wasn't keen on Skuntank. I found it just a little bit too slow. Sort of what I was trying to do with Skuntank was make it be Beedrill and Zweilous at the same time, and it's just not right. It's just not. But it's got play. It's got play for sure. Aaron's back. Everything all right?
Yeah, I just got kicked out for some reason. I don't know. I guess you just don't like me.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
You think Zweilous will be popular? Because I love Zweilous. Whenever I've got a chance to run it, I run it. But actually, here are probably one of the only times when I'm thinking I might not run it because of all the fighters, because of Walrein. There's room for it here. Yeah.
I think everything in the top 10 beats it, right?
Yeah.
Or takes it very close. Noctowl's a tight matchup. Galv beats it in the ones and zeros.
I think the thing with I'm pretty sure Zweilous beats Noctowl straight all evens. I'm pretty sure.
It must be close, right? It must be close.
I thought Zweilous beats. I think Zweilous beats Noctowl, yeah, but it must be close.
But yeah, so this is the thing with Zweilous. It might not be good against the core meta, but it'll be very, very good against everything else. So if you come up against that rogue team that's got like 4 things you didn't prepare for, and you're sort of worried a bit, they're the teams where Zweilous is where it shines, right? Like if you come up against a team that might have, Empoleon, Magcargo, Ferrothorn, and you've got, it's all weak to fighting, but if you've got Quag or Excadrill, for example, and you can't bust that through with fighting types, Zweilous is like the closest thing you're going to get to busting those sorts of things open. And it's interesting because it's very, what I found is it's very easy to build a team that's weak to counter here. And so if you can't run a counter user because you want to use Poliwrath or Quag or something else,
I mean, there are only 3 of them, right? Anyway, isn't there? Like Lucario, exactly. Blaziken, and Goon.
Exactly.
Not many.
Yeah, exactly. And so Zweilous is a good way of busting those, and also happens to be in that vein a nice wall to Roserade, which is another.
Unless you run Dazzling Gleam.
Unless you're in Dazzling Gleam. I ran that in the factions the one time, and because it was us playing Dungeon, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, I've got a story about that as well. So I swapped in. I can't remember who I was playing. It was Bearded, I think, and I swapped in my. We were chatting about it. Aaron, you were on my stream, and we were chatting about it. I spent like 10 TMs just TMing it to Dazzling Gleam. Safe swapped in Rose. He swaps in his Zweilous. And I'm like, come on, this is it. And then he shielded like a madman, shield the Dazzling Gleam. And then afterwards, I was messaging him about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I thought it was a Leaf Storm, and I thought we'd do too much damage anyway."
But then he told his teammate that you were running Dazzling Gleam on your Roserade, and that's so it. I wasn't. Yeah. Then they shielded thinking that. So it did. So it won us a game.
Kind of paid off. Yeah.
Yeah, it won us a game as a pair, right? So yeah. And
we did pretty well in Dungeon, to be fair.
We did. We smashed it in Dungeon, right? We killed it. That's what I have to say. Roserade. It's kind of, in summary, if you use Poison Job, I think it's a worse Beedrill. If you use Bullet Seed, it's a very niche thing, but it might just be like Electrode. It might just be that 6th thing that fills the gap. And if you come up against a team where the gap has 3, they have 3 of the mons that sort of make up that gap, all of a sudden, it's sort of a gamble, I guess. But it depends. If you're confident in your other 5, and it fits nicely, go for it. Would be nice.
How is it versus like Goon? Because I'm assuming it's fairly tight, right? It'll be bit dependent.
Honestly, I've done 0 sims apart from Quagsire, whatever them and Blaziken. I haven't done any sims, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
but it's one of them where I imagine with Bullet Seed you need to land the Grass Knot. Although actually the Grass Knot is not actually a very good move, is it, particularly?
I assume it'll have to be Leaf Storm.
Yeah, you possibly
if you want to go that way.
Yeah, you possibly need Leaf Storm to beat Goon if you want Bullet Seed. But
Yeah, and you'll just bully Lucario.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I just wouldn't run it. But there's a very specific reason you run Roserade, and you, to fulfill that very specific reason, need Bullet Seed, Weather Ball, Grass Knot, in my mind.
You need the spam, don't you? Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's such an attack weighted man. Like even though the Weather Ball won't kill things, if stuff tries taking the piss and tries farming you down, whether it be Beedrill or Frost Blast or something like that, you can end up forcing a shield if your opponent gets a bit greedy. So
yeah, it reminds me of my fusion matchup where I one-shot the Pelipper after getting the bait and took switch and shield because they just tried to farm me down and I landed the Leaf Storm. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, it's got that in it. If you want to go bot, if you do fancy a bait, then by all means go Leaf Storm. But yeah, it's not for me. I don't think. But we'll see. Grand. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me. It's been good. I might be another look now. No, I've had a few days. I've had a few days off Beedrill, so I'll give it a look and see with this new.
As long as it's the shadow, you can't really go wrong.
Fine. All right, guys. Well, good luck with this month, and thank you for joining me.
Yeah, you too.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.